Mr. Speaker, let's talk about BlackRock. The minister tells us that all information on the bank is available, and yet, through an access to information request, we got a document about one of the meetings organized by BlackRock for their clients, in which the Prime Minister, the Minister of Infrastructure, and many other ministers took part. And what's strange is we can't see the list of guests or the topics involved because they were redacted completely. Is that transparency, Mr. Speaker? What are the Liberals hiding exactly right now?
Infrastructure.
Well, Mr. Speaker, the presentation that we made to investors available on public, honourable member is welcome to read it. I hope he read it, because there's nothing dubious about it. We're very proud that we are attracting international capital to invest in our Canadian infrastructure. We are encouraging our own pension funds, CPPBI, the Caisse de Dépôt, who invest in foreign countries to invest in our own country to create jobs for the middle class and build the necessary infrastructure that our communities need. We do better, and we will continue to better than the previous government.
Honourable Member for Beloeil-Chambly. Mr. Speaker, the minister, in such a rush to go ahead with the privatization bank to please his Bay Street friends, yet there are many questions that remain unanswered for a bank that will cost the taxpayer $35 billion. Given that context, will the minister agree to split the bill on the bank from the omnibus bill, an omnibus bill that we were promised would never appear in this again, and have an in-depth study for a question that deserves that kind of study?
Tell, as a former municipal councillor, that one of the things that our municipalities need is a consistent, sustainable and long-term funding, which they lack from the previous government. We have been consulting with our partners for the last year to establish the Canada Infrastructure Bank. We talk to unions, we talk to provinces, territories, we talk to investors, we talk to all sorts of Canadians, we talk to many of the people. As a matter of fact, the honourable member was with me in Washington when we consulted with the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund on the creation of the Canada Infrastructure Bank. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Member for North Island, Powell River. Order.
And separate it from the omnibus bill. Mr. Speaker, the priority of corporations isn't to provide infrastructure, it's to make profit. I know it's breaking news. The Liberals secretly plan to develop their privatization bank with corporations behind closed doors. That's as transparent as, say, a BlackRock. If the Liberals actually want to put Canadians ahead of corporate interests, will they simply commit that there will be no tolls or user fees as a result of this bank?
Honourable Minister of Infrastructure.
Mr. Speaker, we always put Canadians ahead of anything else. We approved 11 projects in members' own riding. 11 projects in members' own riding with a combined investment of $34 million this year, Mr. Speaker. That is putting Canadians first. That would not happen under the previous government, and that would not happen if a third party was in power, because they had no plan for infrastructure, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Member for North Island, Powell River.
Well, let's just get this clearer, Mr. Speaker. It's not just the NDP raising red flags. KPMG, that old socialist firm, provided a report to the government that said the so-called infrastructure bank could lead to, quote, public relations disasters and embarrassment. Embarrassment because of the potential to slow down projects, lack of clear details, and Canadians' aversion to user fees. So will the Liberals reconsider this corporate welfare bank? We're just trying to save them from some embarrassment.
Honourable Minister of Infrastructure.
Well, Mr. Speaker, we have some of the world-known investment funds here in Canada. CCPBI, one of them. OMERS, one of them, right? These are the funds who would like to invest in Canadian infrastructure to grow our economy and create jobs for the middle class. That would benefit Canadians from coast to coast. That's exactly what our plan talks about, and we will continue to invest in our traditional funding models, and we will continue to engage with our private sector, because they're the one who deliver infrastructure on behalf of Canadians now as well, Mr. Speaker.
Exactly. Hello.
Order. The honourable member for Belleuil-Chambly. Well, Mr. Speaker, the same report that my colleague just mentioned also mentioned that the bank would be a bureaucratic nightmare. It's additional red tape for municipalities, more delays, and more fees for everyone. So taxpayers will pay for this bank. But needs for infrastructure are very urgent. Everyone agrees. But the money is slow in coming, even for public investment by the government. And this situation will just get worse because of this privatization bank. So why is the minister favoring the interests of private investors behind closed doors rather than municipalities that need his help?
Well, Mr. Speaker, the honourable member is absolutely incorrect when he says money is slow flowing, because we approved 2,200 projects with combined investment of $20 billion with provinces and municipalities, and almost 50% of those projects are underway. They're allowing us to create transit system that is accessible for people with disabilities. We are allowing them to buy 1,000 buses that will improve transit service. We are improving drinking water in our communities, Mr. Speaker. We are delivering on what we promised to Canadians, and we will continue to do so.
Honourable member for Carleton.
BlackRock billionaires met the Prime Minister in Davos, and then again in New York, and then at the Shangri-La Summit, and they've had unfettered access to staff, officials, and ministers ever since, all to discuss how they will use $35 billion tax dollars in the new infrastructure bank. Now, taxpayers have had a whole 2 hours of consultation in a parliamentary committee. Why does the Prime Minister have 2 years for the billionaires who have everything to gain and only 2 hours for the taxpayers who have everything to lose?
Honourable Minister of Infrastructure.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I can tell the honourable member there are a number of projects being funded in his own riding as well, through by the other government. So we are not ignoring the needs of Canadians. Obviously, we want to work with all stakeholders. We want to work with the unions. We want to work with the building trades. We want to work with Federation of Canadian Municipalities. And we want to work with private sector. We believe that a private sector can deliver more infrastructure that our communities need. If we can leverage public dollars, what's wrong with that? He may have something against private sector. We do.